Hi, this is a lesson on adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. You can obviously see that from right away. 2/3 plus 1/5. We have it with pictures up here, and if you look at it numerically, you see the 3 and the 5 are not the same. Thus, unlike denominators is what we have. As you know, the rule is you can never add or subtract fractions unless the denominators are the same. So how do we do that? To add them with unlike denominators, you first have to wave your magic wand and turn them into fractions with like denominators. To do that, you have to find equivalent fractions by using that powerful tool, the lowest common multiple. Say it with me. Remember the chant, UVLCM. Unlike denominators, you need the lowest common multiple. So, if you remember from previous lessons, there's two ways to find an LCM. The list method, or the famous birthday cake. In this example, the numbers are fairly low, a 3 and a 5. So we really can do it by just listing. You could do it the birthday cake method if you wanted to with the Venn diagram, but it's just easier because the numbers are so low to simply list them. So take a minute and think about the number 3 and list in your mind 4 or 5 multiples of 3. Then we click here and we see you should have been thinking 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. Now do the same for 5. Think for a minute, what are some common, 3 or 4 common multiples of 5? Easy enough, 5, 10, and 15. We can easily see in this case that the lowest common multiple between the two numbers is the 15. We look here to check and see, yes indeed, the balloon pops and it is a 15. Now that we know the LCM, that becomes our lowest common denominator. That's our new denominator. So I like to write the problem now vertically. 2/3 plus 1/5. That was our original problem, if you remember. But we have a new denominator. The new denominator is 15. So we're going to take both of these fractions, 2/3 and 1/5, and turn them into equivalent or equal fractions that have a denominator of 15. If you remember our friend at Math Mansions and the videos we've seen, he'll say what you do to the top, you do to the bottom. So in this case, you need to look at, if I have a 3 and I'm going to a new denominator of 15, what do I do to that 3 to get a 15? You multiply it by 5. You do it to the bottom, you do it to the top. So 2 times 5 would then make let's do this in a different color, 10. So 2/3 is equivalent to 10/15ths. Now if I do the same for 1/5, I look at the bottom, I've turned the 5, I'm looking for an equivalent fraction that has a denominator of 15. What do I do to 5 to get 15? I multiply it by 3. 5 times 3 is 15. What I do to the bottom, I need to do to the top. 1 times 3 is, in fact, 3. And now my 2/3 plus 1/5 becomes an entirely new problem that is 10/15ths plus 3/15ths, with 2/3 being equivalent to 10/15ths and 1/5 being equivalent to 3/15ths. You add those together, it's easy enough. 10/15ths plus 3/15ths. I have like denominators. Think for a moment the answer. Hocus pocus. And my answer is 13/15ths. You do the same if you're subtracting that we did for addition. When you subtract with unlike denominators, the steps are exactly the same until the end, and then you just subtract instead of add. So in this case, if we were subtracting 2/3 minus 1/15, you do the same thing. So with the top fraction, I would take 2/3 and turn it into an equivalent. I do the bottom by 5, I do the top by 5, I have 10/15. I look at 1/5, I multiply 5 times 3 to get the 15. So what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So my problem now becomes 10/15 minus 3/15. Again, I'm doing operations with fractions with like denominators. My answer, you guessed it, 7/15. So this is one you can try for yourself. 4/7 plus 1/3. First thing to do is UDLCM. So we look at the multiples of 7. Think for a moment what they might be. And multiples of 3. Again, these are fairly low methods, or low numbers. You could do the birthday cake method, but because the numbers are low, you simply make a list, erase, and presto, what we have is 7/14. Oops, I almost revealed the answer. 7, 14, 21, and 28, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and 21. What you can see is the lowest common multiple. If you look at the higher number, it's not a 7, it's not a 14, but in fact 21 is the lowest common multiple. We erase here to reveal, and yes, in fact, we find it is 21. That becomes our new lowest common denominator. So you can see here, we draw equivalent fractions using 21 is our new denominator. What do you do to 7 to get the 21? You multiply it by 3. So what I do to the bottom, I also do to the top. 4/7 becomes 12/21s. And the same holds true in the bottom number, 1/3. 1/3 is equivalent, doing the same method of multiplying the top and the bottom by 7 as 7/21s. If you add those numbers together, we can keep the denominator the same because it's like. We add 12 plus 7, which as you know is 19. Let's erase to check ourselves, and in fact the answer is 19/21. I think you can see that that is how you add or subtract with unlike denominators. This is the end. If you need to look at it again and go more slowly, please do. Thank you.